Okay, I'm going to show you how to 3D print. So the first thing you want to do is go over to D2L and go over to where the file is for Autodesk Inventor. Download it, maybe put it on your desktop, then load it up into Inventor. Then what you want to do is go over to File, and then what you're going to do is hover over Print, but then select Print to 3D Print Service. Make sure it says STL here for stereolithography. That's converting the file from a inventor file to a geometry file. Then normally you want to save this on your desktop where it's easy to find. And that's the file that we're going to load into Cura for 3D printing. So you can see that I've already written this file to STL file. Perhaps what we should do, though, before we get too far, is to go in here to this STL file like this and put your last name on there so that we know that so it'll be easier for you to select once you get it over to the printer and be less likely to print somebody else's by mistake. Then you're going to go down here to Cura or to the start menu and type in Cura, C-U-R-A, C-U-R-A. Load it up. It's going to look like this. If it doesn't already say Ultimaker 2 Plus, you want to go to Settings, Printer, and then Add Printer. So it's important that we get a Ultimaker 2 Plus and not the 3 for this particular exercise. So it's going to be an Ultimaker printer. It's going to be a local printer, not something that's on the web. And you don't want to select either one of those right there. In fact, I really need to remove those. You need to select Add a non-network printer, and then select Ultimaker 2 Plus, and then Add. Now it's going to be, this is the second one right here. So it does have two options. So you don't want to use these other options. Otherwise, this Ultimaker 2 Plus will just freeze and will not print out the file. Next thing you want to do is load up the file, the STL file that we saved from Autodesk Inventor. Here it is right here with your last name on it. Open that up, zoom in on it with the scroll wheel. Let's see, I think you can hold down the mouse wheel and orbit or pan up, right click and orbit around. You want to click on the object and make it 3D printable. In other words, it's better to have this orientation so that you click here, click on that face so that it's right upright like this. That means there's going to be less supports needed for this print. Then you could go over here to the settings and let's go ahead and just do the medium setting, which is fine. And then also for the infill density, let's put something a little bit denser to make this stronger. Perhaps you can go all the way to 100% infill so there's no air gaps in there at all. And it'll be a little bit heavier as well. So if we slice this up into different layers, you can see it's going to take less than an hour to print and less than a meter worth of the filament material. If you go to preview, you can see how it's going to print if you just kind of move these up and down. You see it's going to, first of all, print like a adhesive, was that called a bridge or let's see, adhesion. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just called a surface adhesion. And then it will just layer up like this. And you can see that there's really no gaps in here. Whereas most of the time you will have gaps for, because we want the infill to be lower so that the print will take less time. Okay, so then you can come back over here. And then if you have the SD drive already plugged in, you can just say save to removable disk. And then before you hit eject, just make sure that the file is in there. So you want to go to this PC, select on the SD drive right here. And then what you want to do is remove all of the ones that are not yours. Just put them in the old directory. You can replace any destination file, of course. And if you see the Bruton name is kind of all the way at the end, you might just put it over here at the beginning so it's easier to see on the screen, as you'll see shortly. So you just move it over there. Okay, now it's very important for this G-code file to begin with UM2. That means Ultimaker 2. If it says UM3, then you have to go back to Cura and do it again. All right, so then let me see if I can find the video about what to do with this SD drive. So let me pause the video just for a moment. So this is Makerspace 1. This is STEM 102. You're going to go back here over to Maker Table 8. You'll say 8 on the Maker Table itself. You come over here by Maker Table 7 and you'll see 4 of the Ultimaker 2 pluses there. You turn it on the back, and then we need to get this drive out of here, which I've already done before we saved the files to it. But I'm just showing you here how we're going to transport it over to this converter or adapter rather. So you want to put it in there, and then let me go to the next part of it. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, that's the wrong one. All right, so it's going to look like that with the blue light on there, and then you'll see the drive on here. Okay, so once you get the files on the SD drive, you're going to remove it, put it back over in one of the 4 Ultimaker 2s. They have different color filaments on the back. You can check to see what colors they are. You pop it in there, it's a little spring-loaded click, and then you dial in what you want, and that is to print, press in, and that hits the select. Then you dial in the file that has your last name on it. Make sure it says UM2 on there, and also your name. All right, you want to get a little bit of some glue and apply that to the surface. So let me see if I can fast forward to that part. Laying the phone down here. So you get a little bit of this glue stick, just normal Elmer's glue. Put a small thin layer of adhesive down there in the middle where it's going to print. You can come back the next day or later on, and you can just use the spatula nearby or the kind of like the putty knife rather to scrape that off of the surface. And you can see I broke that one. That's because I didn't give it enough infill during the process. I used 20% rather than 80% infill. And then over here, you can see what it looks like. That's where I broke it. You want to make sure the lettering is good. This one right here, I think I used a low resolution, so you can not really see a great deal of detail there. This one over here has a slightly higher resolution. I think you're going to be good using the fine resolution. After you do this, then just take a picture of the 3D printed 10 millimeter socket with your name showing, kind of like this right here. So instead of showing 10 millimeters, just show your name, one photograph, and then upload that to D2L for credit. All right, we'll be doing some more 3D printing with other 3D printers throughout the semester, but I wanted to start with the very basic one first, where you can see the file transport manually. We'll be doing it over the network later. All right, I'll see you in class. Have a good one.